My name's Amy Wilkinson, and my research question was, does olfactory stimulation enhance second language learning? And based on my research, the short answer is maybe. There's not a lot out there right now, so I found a couple studies that did actually relate olfactory stimulation to second language learning. One of which was about academic performance, but they happened to be studying a second language as their research lesson. So it did enhance they did perform better. So the students that were provided the olfactory treatment performed better. But it was a very superficial study, so it was just kind of the first step. And someone could easily look at that study and come up with a bajillion reasons why the tested group performed better than the control. There wasn't a direct link. And I started looking sort of for those sort of direct links. And like I said, there's not a lot out there. So there was definitely a couple papers about aphasiacs and using, and not just aphasiacs, but using scent to identify that scent, to verbalize that scent. And so there was that connection there. But again, there wasn't that direct stimulus to second language learning, but it led into understanding second language learning, like what processes go into second language learning, what processes go into olfactory memory. And there's a lot of overlap. There's some neurological overlap. I'm not a neurologist, and so looking at this is very superficial, but I can see some connections, and I could see where research could lead to see if that helps. There were a couple studies that noted maybe some interference because you're using the same brain processes and you're asking it to do two different things. And so there were some studies where people had some issues with that. But there were a lot of studies where not a lot, but there were studies that showed that people were performing better with that stimulation. And that might be the reason why they were having these differences. Could have been the way the study was set up, or maybe the way different brains work. So some people have a little more plasticity than others. Maybe they just need to practice it. They're not used to receiving those different stimuluses. Having kind of too many stimulus or not being able to identify that scent could have been an issue. So it seemed like when they tried to keep the experiment simple with like one or two scents, then it was a lot easier, familiar scents. So I guess the brain isn't spending time on trying to identify it. But there's definite connection between smelling something and verbally identifying it. And as I said before, there was connections between working memory and the olfactory working memory. And working memory is really significant in learning a second language. So basically my research paper was more descriptive. It was a little exploratory because I was trying to find some correlations and connections, but like I said, it was mostly just sort of setting up more questions. And it's unclear at the time if there's a real clinical application to olfactory stimulation and second language learning. But I think that it's worth exploring right now. Whether it's because any kind of enhancement that we can give people in learning, especially second language learning, is worthwhile. And it's an easy thing to do. So right now with my research paper, I've sort of just found some of these connections and have presented more questions. And what we really first and foremost should do is just kind of have these superficial experiments where we're just seeing like, okay, we're presenting the stimulus. Is it resulting in better performance with language learning? And then if we have that consistently, then we can start tweaking it a little bit and then getting a little more in depth about why is this happening and how does this work, and neurologically how is this working, and then how can we apply that into clinical application. Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video and read my paper.